This is the second part of the Introduction to the Child Development 150 class. In this session, we will be talking about quality early childhood education programs and additionally leadership and management styles. Why should we provide quality early childhood programs for children? I've included two quotations from the USA ChildcareAware.org website. It talks about the types of children that we'll work with and the need for quality care. We provide care for nearly 11 million children younger than age 5 whose parents are working. On average, these children spend 36 hours a week in childcare. 11 million is a huge number, and 36 hours is a long time. We need to make sure that when those children are in care, it's a quality educational program that's trying to meet their developmental needs. There's huge diversity within our ECE programs. For the rest of this course, I'll be typically taking early childhood education programs and calling them ECE programs. I've also divided them into 4 different types: FCC or family child care, SA or school age, infant toddler, and then preschool programs. Within these 4 categories, there's huge variety as well. We'll have corporate programs, small family-run programs, co-op programs, military installation programs, and in-home daycares. None of these programs is better or worse than the other. It's just to highlight the wonderful diversity within our field. On the previous page, I outlined some of the differences within our ECE programs, and on this page I'm going to talk briefly about quality. As far as assessing quality, we're looking at various different accreditation bodies and codes of ethics. Funding bodies will have different requirements, advocating programs will have different standards, lab schools will have different standards, military installations will have different standards, and that's part of the diversity of our field. And that's why our discussion boards will be so important in this course. Somebody who works at a small, private, Christian child care center is going to have a very different experience than a person who works on a large military installation with a school that might serve 300 children on a daily basis. And I want to hear from all of you because both of those programs can be quality. I want to touch briefly on the terms that I'll use for employees in this program. So when I talk about teaching staff or caregiving staff or teachers or caregivers, that is an interchangeable term for an employee who is responsible for the teaching and caregiving of the children in your program. So they have some supervision of children duties and whatever capability they have and whatever units they have. So this would include a duty or an aide who only has 6 units and can't be left alone, all the way to a master teacher or a site supervisor. Then I have other terms of employee or staff, and this is just an umbrella for any paid staff at your center. So this includes your caregiving staff and your support staff. And when I talk about support staff, that includes your cooks, your administrative staff, secretaries, and janitors. And then there's also kind of another part of that, which is your consultants you'll have a separate contract with, and some programs have accountants, legal, HR, stuff like that. So that would be within the consultant term. An administrator is going to manage and lead all of the staff and not just the teachers. Your janitors, your cooks, your secretaries are just as important to the running of a program as your caregiving staff. I want to transition now into talking about quality management and leadership of a program. So we need somebody who has the leadership to push our program to where they think it should go. And then we need a manager who can also handle the day-to-day running of a program. So when I talk about administrators, that's kind of somebody who might be both. They might be great at leadership and they also need to be great at the management side of it. Without leadership, a program will flounder. You won't have somebody making hard decisions about the future of the program, what's going to be next, what are we just striving towards. And we need somebody to make decisions every single day that lead us in the direction that we want to go towards. A strong leader, and I like to use the analogy of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So we want somebody who's not too permissive. Imagine a program where you can come in wherever you want and work. You can leave whenever you want. There's no set schedule. There's a curriculum, but you don't have to follow it. Or we're Reggio, but if you like Montessori, go for it. Can you imagine how confusing that would be for parents where each classroom is so radically different from each other? And then we need somebody who's not too strict or controlling, who allows the personality of the teachers to shine through within their curriculum. They don't hyper manage everybody to such a degree that it makes the workforce down. So we are looking for striking the right note between holding staff accountable and then motivating staff to perform at a high level and to run a quality program every single day. And that can be difficult to do, and we're going to talk about what our management styles are as our assignment for this week, what we think we are right now, what we would like to be, what our strengths are, and what our vulnerabilities are, because that's going to inform the rest of this course. Who are we? Where do we want to get to? And what changes are we going to need to make within ourselves and within our program to get there? The additional reading for this week will be a PDF from The Business of Childcare by Gail Jack, and it details the leadership styles of Daniel Goleman, and this chart that I have is from 2000, and he really talks about our leadership styles. And as we kind of work through the semester, we're going to be developing a toolbox, a director's resource file for leading an ECE program into quality or maintaining the quality that you already have. And an important first step in this is reflecting on our own strengths and the areas of need that we have as an administrator. So we'll be reading about the 6 styles of leadership for the assignment for this class. There'll also be a video to go with it that kind of humorously illustrates some of these points as well, and that's from an online source that I have. When we're talking about leadership, though, there's kind of these 6 styles. So a coercive administrator or leader is seen as demanding, and there needs to be immediate compliance. This is somebody who, when they say jump, you say how high. There's no room for any kind of disobedience. That's what they see it as if you don't listen to them and you don't immediately comply with their demands. There's also the pace setting, which is holding people to a very high standard, and you do as I do, you do as I say. This is not necessarily a bad one, and it's not necessarily a good one. It's really how you work with this particular management style and leadership style. I do very well with the pace setting boss. I like high standards and I push myself to a high standard. So when somebody holds me to it, I work very well with this. There are other leadership styles where this would be very difficult to work with. As far as authoritative, you're mobilizing people towards your vision. So you have a vision of the future and you are helping and supporting people by getting them there. You still continue to have very high standards, but you're more of a people person who's willing to work with them. Then we have a democratic person, which is census building. So if there is a change or a vision to be made, they're involving the entire staff in this policy or this process. They're going to have lots of staff meetings. They're going to have lots of trainings. They're going to want to get everybody on board. I worked on a program where we were going to try to do a continuity of care program so that infant staff would move with children as they aged up to age 4 or 5. We actually never got consensus, and this was never put into action because the boss that I had at the time was very democratic, and a lot of the staff didn't see the value in it, or they didn't see how the day-to-day working of that would happen, and so it never actually happened. You also have an affiliative leader. That's somebody who creates harmony and builds emotional bonds. So if you are the type of employer who has staff pictures everywhere, if you're Facebook friends with all of the parents and all of the staff in your program, if you greet people with a hug, if you want to know about everybody's day or weekend when they come in on a Monday, this is probably what you are. And then we have coachers. These are typically people persons. They develop people for the future. They love working in classrooms. They love working with curriculum, with challenging behaviors. They're constantly in the classroom, even if they're a program director or a site supervisor, because how they lead towards the future is in the day-to-day work with the children and the staff. So who am I as a leader and a manager? I am very democratic, and I am a coacher as well. And that picture is of me and my husband a couple months after our youngest daughter was born, which was last year. So I am a people person. I love working in classrooms. I love working with children. I love working with curriculum and training staff as well. My favorite job was a training and curriculum specialist on Camp Pendleton, and I did that until the birth of my twins. I loved it because it was part of my job to be in the classroom every day. I needed to check in with staff. I needed to see what the problems were. I needed to see if there were any issues arising that I needed to take care of. I love supporting people as they learn new things. Yearly, I would go over ECHRs, and we would do the ECHR scale for every single classroom within our child care center. And those were the types of things that I really liked leading. And now working at Palomar and working with children with special needs, I get direct care, and I also get to inspire, our new generation of teachers. I don't like conflict. I don't like hurt feelings. And this has a tendency to make me a little bit permissive. And I typically need to work with a pace setter. That's a really good fit for me. Because I know that I need to be strong, and I need to be running a strong program in order to serve the children that we work with. Another weakness of mine is that I have a tendency to avoid delegating when stressed. So when I'm going through accreditation with NIAC or NECPA, I can get really wrapped up into my own thing, and I won't give other people jobs and duties to do. And that's really necessary, especially I've run programs that have 350 students. I can't run a program like that by myself, and I need to be reminded and to remind myself to look outside of myself from support from other people. I just wanted to give you an example of my leadership style and my management style, because this is going to be part of your online assignment for this week. You're going to be looking at Goldman's 6 leadership styles, and you're going to be deciding who you are, who you want to be, areas of strength, and then areas of need or vulnerabilities that you need to be working on. Your reading from the textbook for this week will be the first chapter of our textbook, and part of that first chapter is the 5 C's of leadership, and it's on page 8, and it goes over character, caring, commitment, confidence, and communication. And this is kind of what they've outlined as being important towards a leader. You need to have commitment, you need to have the confidence to see your commitment to fruition, and you also need to be able to communicate clearly to parents and staff. I also like this first chapter of the textbook because it goes over all of the duties and responsibilities of a manager or administrator, and there are many. You're going to have a myriad of things that you have to be doing, multitasking, things like that. So I think it's a good introduction to what an administrator might be doing. I wanted to talk a little bit about managing and leading. They are interplaying together. They are interconnected, but they're not the same. A leader has a vision for their program. They have principles, they have core values, a mission statement, a diversity statement, something that propels them towards their quality. And then a manager is how you kind of get to that. So your day-to-day decisions and policies that lead you towards your vision for your program. So you could manage and be a perfectly adequate manager, but without a vision, you're just going to maintain the status quo. So if you want to take your program to a different level, you're going to have a vision and principles and a core value and a mission statement in order to take you to where you want to go within your program. So for the rest of the week, this is what you're going to be working on. You're going to be reading chapter 1 if you haven't already. You're going to read the PDF, the Child Care Administrator and How You Manage. This is going to go over the management styles and leadership styles that we've already talked about in this PowerPoint. It's going to give you a different perspective on them. It's also going to inform your weekly online assignment, which is worth 10 points. And this is where you're going to reflect on who you are using Goleman's 6 leadership styles, who you are, where you want to go, and your strengths and weaknesses. You also need to introduce yourself in the discussion forum. Please post or attach or upload one picture. It can be of yourself, your family, your child, your hedgehog, your favorite beach, a hobby that you have, anything like that. It doesn't have to be of you. I've posted a picture of myself and my daughters, and then I talked a little bit about myself, and I'd like you to do the same as well. Who are you? Who are you professionally? Where do you work? Or what age do you work with if you don't want to say where exactly you work? What are your goals? You are in school age, but you'd like to work for an FCC. You'd like to open your own daycare. You'd like to be a program director. You'd like to work in the federal government. You want to be in Head Start. Anything like that. These are really important because it's going to allow me to tailor the program to who you guys are, where you are, and where you want to go. And also it's going to allow us to learn from each other. So if I want to open my own daycare, then I'm going to see somebody who already has their daycare, and I'm going to want to hit you up for some ideas and resources. So professional mentorship and networking is going to be part of this class, but it can only happen if you guys give me a little bit about who you are so that we can start to create an online community.